Hey there, horror listeners. My name's Christina Bergling, and I'm going to read you a story in this dimly lit, creepy room. Tonight, I'm going to read from Awake in America's Emerging Horror Writers West region. This story I wrote after having hip surgery and is directly based off of fears and nightmares that were spawned from having hip surgery. I react pretty intensely to anesthesia. I cry hysterically when I wake up, even though I'm not upset. And that definitely played a part in this, as well as all of my anxiety surrounding hip surgery pain recovery. That whole thing. So, I'm going to start mid story after our narrator has woken up from their own surgery. Wait! I yelled after her, with my weak and scratchy voice. I sounded as pathetic as I felt. Wait! My pills, please! The door clicked closed behind her and bounced my wretched sounds back at me. My entire abdomen flexed in irritation, tempting the anger of my stitches. I whirled to the bed rail and smashed the nurse call button again and again. Hot tears burned down my cheeks. I scrunched my face down against the pressure rising in my chest, against the horrible twitching I felt on my impotent limbs. I brought my fists up to my forehead and pressed them against my skin until that sensation distracted me from the throbbing in my hip and anxiety in my chest. Taking a deep breath, I thrust both hands back to the mattress. I snapped my head up and glared around my empty room. A hatred for that nurse blossomed in my chest, fueled by the relentless pain hammering on my nervous system. The ache amplified my rage. Chomping my front teeth down on my cracked bottom lip, I pressed my fists into the mattress beside me. I lifted myself up until I barely hovered over the sheets. My entire pelvis lit up with searing pain. My nerves shrieked against the movement. I bit my lip harder and shifted until I was against the bed rail. I wrapped my fingertips around the rail and leaned out. The pressure of the bed rail against my swollen, stitched skin was unbearable. My entire hip burned in protest. I just kept digging my teeth down into my lip, begging my mind to acknowledge that assault instead. I stretched my shaking fingers toward the tray. They flirted with the edge at first, teasing me as they bumped along it. Then, with one more desperate lunge, they wrapped around the tray and dragged it sloppily to me. As the tray slammed into the other side of the bed rail, I threw myself back onto the mattress. I coughed and choked on my own sensations, yet relief moved in a current beneath the pain. When the blinding wave receded, I turned to the tray. I reached for the water pitcher first, the excitement causing my hands to tremble harder than from the pain or detoxing from the anesthesia. I snatched the handle of the pitcher and heaved it toward myself, skipping the cup. It was too late. I brought it to my face, stripped the lid, and stared inside. It was entirely empty, completely dry. There had never been any water. Anger surged up past the pain, writing new messages along my brain. I flung the worthless dish aside, hearing it bounce off the wall. The feverish tears stung my eyes again. I clawed at the tray for the small paper cup full of pills, anything to take the edge off. The bottom of the cup scraped the tray as I seized it, yet it made no sound as I brought it to my face. It weighed nothing. Empty. Just like the pitcher. Defeated, I let the futile, vacant cup tumble to the floor beside my bed. I dropped my head to the pillow, closed my eyes, and let the sobs take me. The sound of the door sliding open roused me again. My mind straddled the swirling weight of my sleep and the unforgiving edge of the agony blooming from my hip. The nurse spun in again, carrying a new pitcher and a paper cup. I knew they were empty. I knew she had nothing for me. I wrapped the blanket within my fists and shrunk down into the bed as she approached. "You're awake," the nurse said in the same empty and robotic tone. "How do you feel?" "Horrible," I snapped. "I need my pills. I need some water." "Yes, that's typical. The doctor explained to you that it would be uncomfortable when you woke up." "I know that! I need the pills! Give me the pills!" My voice wavered in panic. "Now, let's check your stitches." The nurse reached above my head and snatched some latex gloves. "No." I pulled the blankets up tighter. "Don't touch me! Give me the pills!" The nurse ignored my words. She moved as unaffected as if I had never spoken. She reached behind the bed. I heard metal shift and the bed disappeared from beneath me. I came flopping down on my back and my hip seized in torment. My legs drew up instinctively, protectively, even though it hurt to move them. I let out an inhuman cry and flung my hands defensively at the nurse. The nurse reached down and brushed my hands aside, the way you would dismiss a defiant child. Her strength was fluid and overwhelming. The more I pushed against her, the more my hip objected with burning spasms. I writhed futilely in my whimpers as she stripped off the blanket and unfolded my body. "No," I whined. "Please stop. That hurts. That hurts." So if you want to find out what the nurse does, you have to get the book and follow the links below.